Hello. Thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. My name is Vanessa Cardenas, and I'm a betrayal recovery specialist. Hopefully, you can see and hear me well. For those of you that have been in the group for a while, you already know me. I'm one of the moderators. Also, I am one of the summit speakers. I have participated in 3. This is my 4th summit. Angie, thank you so much for inviting me back. I absolutely love talking to this group. Not only am I a moderator here, I'm also a moderator on Humans Navigating Betrayal. I have a lot of experience. And let me tell you this. No one studies betrayal unless they've been through it. And yes, I have been through it. My credentials come from not only personal experience, but I do have a psychology degree from Baruch College in New York, where I'm at. So yes, I tend to speak a little quickly, but hopefully you will forgive me because I want to give you so much information all at once. So buckle up. I will try to slow down, but at the same time, I want to make sure that I give it all to you so that you have it. My presentation this time, and I change it every single time, because you don't want to rinse and repeat. You want something new, something that you can really sink your teeth in, something that is actually helpful. And that's what I aim to do here. So if you like what I've talked about today, by all means, search me in the group. You'll find my other summit talks that I have done, and maybe those topics are of interest to you. So we're going to jump right in. What are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about letting go to unleash. And it's not letting go to unleash all your rage and your anger and all of the pent-up feelings that you have related to your relationship. This is about letting go of all of that so that you can unleash you. That's who I'm focused on. I'm not focused on your relationships. The only relationship that I care about at this moment in time is the relationship you have with yourself. Because after what you have been through, I want to invite you to try to fall in love with yourself again, to trust yourself again. And the most important, and this one's the hardest. Oh, this one's hard. Are you ready for it? Forgive yourself. Yeah, that one's the hardest one of all. It's so hard to do. We blame ourselves, especially as women. We take that all on, and we feel the weight of the world on our shoulders. It's truly exhausting. Because you have the anger, rightfully so. You have the rage, rightfully so. You have the disappointment, rightfully so. Here you are, either on the cusp of divorce, going through the divorce, and it's all just, we ask ourselves, how did I get here? How did I get here? For some, it's a slow burn over years, maybe even decades. For others, it's very instantaneous. It's like, whoa, what just happened? Suddenly you find yourself completely in a different space. This is not what you signed up for. No, not at all. Absolutely not. But here you are. Listen, we can't change the past. As much as we go over it again and again, looking for the signs and what did we miss and how did this happen, we can drive ourselves crazy. We absolutely can. All the thoughts, and you know all the thoughts, you need to step out of it. I'm here to tell you what you need to hear. And sometimes what you need to hear, it's a little rough around the edges. Oh my God, this chick with the pink in the hair is telling me all these things, and now I'm feeling really uncomfortable. But I know that deep down, she's right. I need to step out of all of this. To do so, I need to stop looking in the rearview mirror at the past. I can't change it. I can't even control it. But I can change the narrative. Absolutely. Why and how? Those are key. And it first starts with you. It does. And I know it's incredibly unfair. What do you mean it starts with me? He did this. Why do I have to do the work? It's unfair. I know it's unfair. It's completely unfair. But that's where we're at. We cannot change the past. I wouldn't even advocate for you to look into the future unless you are looking into the future playing the what if game. But the what if game has a positive spin. Yes, I know, toxic positivity. This is actually looking into the future and dreaming big. What did you always want to do as a child? Well, when the adults, what do you want to be when you grow up? Well, here you are. You're a grown-up. Issues. But I invite you to think about when you were a kid. What did you want to be? What did you want to do? Dream big. Shoot for those stars. Really think about who you are. Who are you? Not the labels that everybody has put on you. No. I invite you to step into who you are. Own who you are. I know it's challenging. I know it's hard. I know it's been completely unfair. Something terrible has happened to you. And probably it wasn't about you. And sometimes we fall into such despair and we sit in that despair for way too long. It's like that old sweater that's in your drawer. You loved the sweater when you first got it. You felt like $1 million every time you wore it. Everybody always complimented you on it, but it has been washed over and over, and it's shrinking, becoming itchy, and it has a hole in it, but you just can't bear to part with it. Every once in a while, you put it on hoping it'll feel the same way it did when you got it. But it doesn't. So I invite you to tuck that sweater away if you want to keep it. Maybe in a couple of years, you'll put it on and realize, oh, I don't like the way this feels. Sometimes we want to sit in it. We do. We want to reminisce about the past. And that keeps the past chained to us. It's familiar. Even though it's painful, it's familiar. We know what that feels like. What if you could have those moments of joy? Every once in a while, you have that moment where it all doesn't flood in and you see something or you hear something and it brings a smile to your face. What happens right after that? You feel guilty. It's an unusual feeling. And you suddenly feel guilty. Oh, I don't like the way that suddenly felt. I felt good, but I'm not supposed to feel good. I'm supposed to sit in that uncomfortable feeling because I know what that uncomfortable feeling feels like. I know what it feels to have that rage and that anger and everything else. But this sudden joy that makes me feel good, I'm not quite liking that. It's so odd. It truly is. But we find ourselves there because we are not used to that feeling. Because we have been sitting in the agony and the pain for way too long. So we need to let it go. We need to let it go. And I invite you to pause. Yes, pause. Pause. I'm going to bring it up closer so that you can see it. Pause. Postpone action until sanity emerges. Yes, sanity. We all know how it is. All those feelings and the rage, and suddenly we get a text message and it floods back in, and we're just, The biggest question comes up. Why? Why am I here? How did I get here? Yeah. How do I get out of it? We all have different coping mechanisms. That's why we explore so much. That's why you're here listening to the amazing speakers, because you're looking for answers. I need answers. I need to understand how and why and what and why I'm feeling this way. I don't want to feel this way anymore. So here we are. I'm going to invite you for 3 different things. It's the ABC. That's how I refer to it. First off, you want to be authentic. Shed all these different labels that you have and step into you. You might not quite like yourself at this moment because you have had your self-worth just run over back and forth a zillion times. Your self-worth might be in the toilet. You might look at yourself in the mirror, if you can actually look at yourself in the mirror. I couldn't. I actually covered the mirrors in my house, including my bathroom mirror. I couldn't look at myself because I just couldn't do it. The self-blame hit me like a ton of bricks. I blamed myself. I couldn't look at myself. I was 40 pounds overweight. All of it because I didn't love myself. I didn't trust myself. I didn't forgive myself. But I had to shed it all. I had to step into who I actually. The B is for boundaries. You have to set them. You have to protect yourself. You have to regain your sense of self, who you are. And that requires a boundary, arm's length, or it's a little bit closer, or it's even further away. But you need to have your boundaries, and you need to honor your boundaries. Your boundaries are about you, what you are going to do. So set a boundary. Whatever it is, start small with yourself. I'm not going to eat a pint of ice cream every night and wallow in my suffering. It's a boundary. You're setting the table. You're moving forward. You're setting a boundary. And the third, which is C, ABCs, C is communication. We have to go back to honoring and cultivating effective communication. We have to learn how to respond, not react. You know, you get that text message and you're ready to fire off. We become warriors with these. Our thumbs, we become warriors. We don't need to be. I invite you to pause, postpone action until sanity emerges. Pause. I also invite you to breathe. There's something about the lost art of breathing. I know, you're thinking, I breathe all day long. Yes, we do, but it's all shallow breathing. We don't breathe all the way down to our belly and expand our chest. You know how that deep breath feels. Try it now. What it does is it helps regulate everything. Our mind and our heart, they're disconnected. They are, rightfully so. Just 3 deep breaths can make a world of difference. And then every single day you add 1 to it. By the end of the month, you're doing 30 deep breaths. It's glorious. You don't have to do them all at the same time, but all throughout the day. Every time you look at your phone, take a deep breath. I know you'll get 30 deep breaths because of how often we look at our phones. Have it tagged with something else and breathe. But we're back to communication, because communication is C. How do we let go and unleash ourselves? Communication We have to communicate. Nobody else can read our mind. They can't. And we have to communicate effectively. In person is always the best, but sometimes we don't want to deal with that. So we go to text messaging. We have to be careful with the language that we use. The number one worst word in relationship communication, do you know what it is? It starts with an F. Yeah. Fine. Oh, when you get a text message that says fine, gloves come off. We're ready for battle because we don't know the context or the tone of the word fine. It could be just fine, 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 fine. Ooh. Yeah, it might be missing the exclamation point, but we feel that exclamation point. We see that word fine and we're like, what? Whoa, what's happening here? So I invite you to really think about your language and to pause before you respond. Don't react. Because when you react, you're losing your sense of control. Don't lose your sense of control. Respond. Whether that respond is in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour, a day, a couple of days. It's your choice. You're in control. That's right. When you learn to respond, you're in control to pause. If you are on the other side of divorce and you are now working through dating, that's a tough one, especially when we feel vulnerable. Our self-worth has been battered and bruised and we're not quite sure. And then we get that rejection. Oh, that rejection's so painful. But I'm going to leave you with this. What if that rejection is a higher power's protection? You might be being saved. There are so many people that are looking for love. They are. We just have to find the right one. And we have to trust ourselves. We have to love ourselves. And we have to forgive ourselves so that our situations with our ex don't carry to the next. We don't want that. You want to leave the past in the past. Every once in a while, you can look in the rearview mirror, if you must, to see how far you've actually come. Because you'll be surprised, and so many clients come through my office, and I tell them, you're going to be surprised. On the other side of this situation, there actually is beauty. And the beauty is you. You find yourself. You love yourself. You trust yourself. And most importantly, you forgive yourself. So make sure you stay in touch. Let us know how you're doing. This group is absolutely wonderful. Angie is an amazing admin. And of course, you have both Vanessas, myself and the other Vanessa, as moderators. There are also group experts you can reach out to as well. You can find me on all the various socials as well as my website, which is understandingear.com. Reach out. Let us know how you're doing and what we can do to help you move through, to let go and unleash. Thank you, everyone.